Hi, I'm Eric.
And I'm Dick. We are the Annuity Guys.
Dick, when someone's looking to purchase an annuity, there's these obstacles, the mindsets that they have to overcome, that they have to break through before they actually make that decision.
And Eric, some of these things about annuities that are obstacles are things about the annuities themselves, and some things are just perceived and perceptions. One of the things that I think folks get hit with first, and that is that there's good things in the press about annuities, but there's so much negative that just pops up, especially when you're looking for it, because there's this war, this bias war that folks don't understand. Everybody's vying for your money, folks. Everybody wants it. And the investment managers talk bad about annuities, and the annuity people many times talk bad about the investment side. So that's part of it.
Everybody's making their case, and everybody has a filter from which they see your dollars, unfortunately. And if the only thing I have to sell you is a mutual fund, by golly, that's the right answer, and you should never look at annuities. And if you look at the marketing dollars that these mutual fund companies spend, there's a lot of folks with that bias. They don't want to see your dollars leave them and go to an insurance company, even if that's the right fit for your particular circumstance.
And really, Eric, once folks start to see through this, they start to understand that there's this bias that isn't always so factual in the way it's presented, or they're just taking the very negative aspect of something. They start to realize that annuities actually have a place, and that there's both the pros and the cons, and that they're just simply a tool. They're a financial tool that, used correctly, really can benefit.
Well, and that's exactly it. Don't ever overstate the benefit of the annuity. Understand that the strength of an annuity is the longevity insurance aspect of providing income for life. If you understand that and you know why you're getting into an annuity or even considering it, then it does fit in your portfolio. And despite what everybody that may be working for the local brokerage house would say, it does have a place in your portfolio sometimes.
Well, one of these obstacles that is talked about in some of the negative press, and it's actually a true obstacle that folks have to really think about and consider, and that is the surrender fee.
Yes, and it's the biggest thing that's presented out there, and I think even the last article I read said, even FINRA says that you shouldn't consider it an annuity because there are fees, and it's the surrender fees that there's conceptually, you're not going to lose any money or lose any principal unless you take your money out early.
Which proper planning prevents the vast majority of that from ever happening. But there is always that possibility that you'd have to take your money out early. And folks, just as a kind of a general understanding of these surrender fees, about the maximum you're ever going to lose in an annuity from a surrender fee in the early years, even the first year, is about 10% of what you put in.
And we always say that if you got a bonus, they want their bonus money back.
Yes.
But then as far as your principal about, if you put it in and 6 months later you had to take it out, there's a good chance you're going to give up 10%.
Eric, that's about a typical stock market correction on the small side. So if folks have their money in investments and it's an inopportune time to take it out because the stock market's corrected, that is something where they're going to have a 10% correct. It's not a penalty fee, but it's a loss of principal.
Right. And so when I look at surrender fees, obviously I look at them as being part of a well-designed financial product, because it makes you think about whether or not you should go in and pull the dollars from this resource, which are typically retirement dollars. Should you be going here for what you're trying to fund? And this is the old credit union in me. We do the same thing with CDs. If you're going to go and get a CD out early, you're going to pay a penalty. Now, I'm not suggesting that the penalties are equated to what we're getting with the annuity side, but it's meant to say, hey, if you're coming for these dollars, you're going to have to pay a penalty because we have invested these dollars for the long haul. And with annuities, you're really long haul. You're thinking 10, 20
years,
30 years out there.
For your retirement.
For a CD, typically you're looking at the length 5 years. So yes, the penalties don't always equate, but it is. They want you to think about it before you go and pull dollars out of this location.
Exactly. And if you realize on surrender fees that they're actually there for your own protection, not from just what you've said, but to keep others from making a run on an annuity company unnecessarily. So you really want those surrender fees in place. And the really good news about surrender fees, once people do a little research on annuities, they realize that their retirements last for 20 or 30 years, and surrender fees only last for 10 years
10 years.
maybe, 7 years.
And the one thing that you have to realize that you don't get in the CD world or a lot of these places is you're going to have, at least for almost all these annuities, have a liquidity provision where you can come and get 5 to 10%, 15%. Some people even have cumulative up to 50% that you can pull out in any given time period. That they're giving you access to your dollars penalty free. Only it's a certain amount. It's not the entire lump sum.
Eric, a lot of folks perceive annuities as losing control, and they're afraid of the loss of control.
Well, and we have to be fair here, because there are some annuities, the old kind of SPIA style annuities. If you buy just a life annuity, you take your lump sum, you give it to the insurance company.
You do lose control of it.
You lose control.
Yeah, that's
but
absolutely true.
That's the old style. And I'm not selling beer here.
But the newer style, we call it a lot of times majority control.
Right.
And that just allows folks to get back, even in the early years, up to 90% of their principal, have full control over that. And loss of control means different things to different people.
Sure.
Some folks just want to be able to get to every dime they've got at any moment.
Right. Yeah. Does control mean I have to be able to touch every single dollar, no matter what the time is, and be able to stuff it in my mattress if I want to?
Yeah.
And if that's what control means, then annuities probably are not the best position.
Or does loss of control to others, Eric, means the opposite. It means losing control of a secure retirement over time that I'm willing to stage and properly plan. So you have two camps out there, and folks, you have to decide which camp you're in. If being able to just touch that money at any moment and take as much as you want at any time is the most important thing, or securing your retirement over the long haul, which is really what annuities are designed for.
Well, and when I grew up in the Rust Belt here. I lived in a community. We had 6 major manufacturing industrial companies that all closed down over a period of time.
Yes.
And I can remember these people that had paychecks coming in on a regular basis that all of a sudden were laid off. They're unemployed. They don't have a paycheck. Some of them had unemployment insurance. Those people were more out of control and felt, even though they had some money coming in, because they didn't know when that was going to stop. People, I think, feel in more control and feel more secure and more happy when they know that there's a check coming in every week, every month, whatever that number is.
That pension-style income that you're not going to outlive, or it's just going to come to a halt. Eric, one of the things that and as we've discussed these obstacles that we run into over and over again, is the wrong advisor. A lot of times, folks, that's their biggest obstacle to doing annuities right, is they're working with the wrong advisor.
Well, and a lot of times we'll talk about the accumulation specialist, somebody that works for a brokerage house. You've had a relationship with them for the last 20 years. They've done a phenomenal job of helping you build your portfolio. You've invested wisely. It's grown. It's doubled. It's tripled. Now it's time to start spending. And guess what? They don't know how to help you spend what you've saved. They want you to help keep growing it. And we all want to keep growing our portfolio, but we have to turn the mentality from I'm growing it to I'm spending it.
I'm spending it, right.
Because that's what it is.
And know how much to spend. Know that you can spend without guilt and without fear of running out of money. So folks need, to be able to know these things, and you have to work with an advisor that, first of all, knows about all of the different annuities and has access to them, and can help you set up a plan that's not just designed to grow your assets, but
protect your spending. It's moving from accumulation to spending, and it's very difficult for you to do. And for a lot of these advisors, it's even more difficult because they get paid on a percentage of your assets. And by golly, they don't want you taking those assets and spending them on yourself. What do you think you're doing? You're cutting into their income.
Well, it does. It takes that money right out of the management fee arena. They're rewarded on how much money they keep in management, or the mutual funds that they sell, and this type of thing. So folks, you really have to be aware of this bias. And unfortunately, when you go to your advisor and you tell him that you want to do some retirement planning and that you're interested in annuities, he's not going to say, I'm not the best person for that.
Unlike your doctor who if you went in and said, I have, your general practitioner, I got chest pains, they're going to send you to a heart specialist. Unfortunately, your financial advisor thinks he's a specialist.
Let me work on your heart. I can do it right now.
Let me chop you up. We're good. We'll take care of you.
But the real thing that Eric and I see on a regular basis is folks that come to us with the wrong annuities, the wrong planning. Doesn't really make sense. It's a mishmash of this annuity and that annuity. And it's because the advisor they were working with either didn't have the competence, didn't have the products, didn't have the proper training.
It's the plan. It all comes down to the plan. We can all accumulate product. We can all have. He can sell you a mutual fund or an annuity, or if you just are buying product without an end in mind, then it doesn't matter. Dick, the last thing we have to really discuss is really kind of the biggest of the obstacles, and that's really the fear of change. Folks that have been in that accumulation mindset for their entire lives, they're now getting ready to start spending dollars rather than saving them, and it's really that change that they're afraid. They are literally afraid of doing something wrong and making a bad decision, and that fear sometimes just becomes
it becomes a biggest
paralysis.
Right, and so this is what we see a lot of times, Eric, is we see the initial stages of someone that feels that annuities may be a good answer for their portfolio, and the more they research and the more, the deeper they get into it, the more they like it and the more they understand it, and then they come up to that roadblock. And it may be, in a spousal situation, it'd be maybe one spouse, that's not as sure about it. They're a little reluctant, and sometimes even the individual, just kind of has that, I'm just not sure. But really, it comes down a lot of times to just fear of change, and this, could really be the same thing as just changing over your investments to other investments. It's the same type of thing, changing an advisor.
Sure.
It's just that fear of doing the wrong thing. And so, folks, you have to really look at yourself as you approach this type of planning and annuities and decide if you're capable of making those decisions, that change that's needed.